Holy cow, serious Star Trek. I'm Dan Tron, the engineer, and now let's go to 10 forward and let's bring in your host today, Bounty Hunter Larry Young. Hey, Larry.
Welcome to the Boba Fett show.
Sweet.
See what happens when Price doesn't show up.
John Price, unfortunately, was called away on a bounty of his own, and he's making things happen. So Larry and me are going to hold it down today. I don't know how much Star Trek we got to talk about, but
we're going to bring John Price in cold.
Warm or cold, we're bringing him in next week for sure.
Take this hot shit off.
I love that, dude. Did you make that thing or did you buy it?
Yeah. I mean, lots of this stuff. This is Timothy Oliphant's, mostly his bit from the Marshall episode, Boba Fett, and he returned, so I pulled this stuff out.
Sweet.
I went to Disney on May the 4th, dressed up in all this gear, and it was fucking amazing. It was really fun. Have you been to the Star Wars land in Disney?
Nah, I don't go to lands. I don't do lands.
Dude, me neither. And that's why they got me on this one. Because it's not it's like you're walking around a Star Wars set. It's hard to describe. We got some cool pics.
I got this. This is from that, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So think about that. Just walking around there.
This is cool.
We went on May the 4th, which, come on, May the 4th be with you. And, look, R2. And it was right when they reopened. They had reopened on April 30th for the, because of the Rona. And so they were at 15% capacity. So no one was there.
It must be fun.
There was no lines for the stuff. Everything was fresh. Like nothing had been running so long that it starts to break down, because that's kind of what it doesn't happen to the Marvel rides so much, but the Star Wars rides are very complex. The Rise of the Resistance thing is insane. You can't, it's not a ride. The things move on 3 axes and move up and down, and it's hard to explain.
It's like a simulator Star Tours type thing, though, like you're in a moving box or whatever.
See, it's not, though.
No.
It's the moving box part is you and the 4 other people in your cart, and it rides around a space. So like you go by stuff with 50 troopers standing there going, "What's that?" You go up like 30 feet to the front of a walker and talk to the guys in that. There's a bit right at the end where you go, "Oh, well, now I feel what it's like to be in a Star Wars movie." Because there's a bit where you drop and fly away, and it's like, of course they're fooling you with the stuff that's on in your vision, but your body is fooled too, because you're like, these things drop about 10 feet, and you get the idea that you're dropping, right? And so if you're dressed like this, it's great.
That's where they get me. They don't need to do much.
The kids love you. It's great.
They don't need to do much to get those effects to like feel totally real, which makes me like believe we could be living in a simulation. Like it could be happening.
The amazing thing is, it's like, it's not just a trick. They are moving you around. They'll they put you into something, and then they show you, what it's like to move up 20 feet in an elevator or an escalator. And you're looking, it's not a screen that you're looking at. You're looking at this wide space that's open, and it has a walker foot, right? So when you see it, you're like, "Oh, that's cool." They're kind of dope in the walker thing. And it's like, and then you move up, and it's like, holy crap. So a lot of guys you talk to are guys on screens, and you're far enough away that it sells the illusion. But there's a ton of people walking around in suits, and it's really cool.
I'm going to bring the kids one of these days. I'm waiting for all this stuff to settle down. And
well, sure. Yeah. Well, I mean, that's why we went early, where I'm like, Walker was cool. He had been vaxxed up. Mimi and I had been vaxxed up. We didn't have our boosters yet because they weren't available. But we were like, at 15%, I wouldn't do it if it was just open.
Right,
At
right.
15% capacity, I'm like, I'll roll those dice.
Totally. I'd be down.
And it was super fun. It was great.
Well, okay.
All right. Yeah. So
speaking of
today,
moving things around, dude.
yeah, look at that 10 forward. Yeah, that's great, man.
10-4, we love it. And then wait a minute, I want to even make a move behind the bar if I can. I can be back here,
Man.
with my new. And also, do you want to arm wrestle, Larry?
Sure.
Let's
see.
I've been working out.
This way.
Do things with perspective. Anyway,
wow, look at that. You got like a Reed Richards thing going on.
Totally. Well, yeah, I got some setups coming in the not too distant future. Don Chin. I had Don Chin, who you know, on my show, and he's like, damn. And I was trying out this virtual set stuff for the first time. He's like, take it easy with the special effects, Fellini. Like,
oh no, that wasn't Don Chin. Don't slur the cool.
Oh
Don
no,
Chin.
Don Simpson. I'm sorry,
that was
the other Don.
Noted crybaby and whiner Don Simpson.
So Don, I made this for you. Wait a minute, I made this one for you, buddy. How about this? I'm gonna just be as annoying as possible during this broadcast.
It's like a super colored Ant-Man. I should say, I'm sure Don Simpson is a wonderful guy, but at the beginning of the internet, I sent him some emails and he responded in a massively dickish way. To the point that I printed out that email and put it in my book of like interactions with people.
Well, I liked him. He was cool.
I'm sure he's a fun guy. Everybody gets
but
mad.
I'm not sure if he liked me.
Everybody has
I couldn't tell.
Everybody's got a bad day, right? And some people are just dicks. I mean, who knows? What are you
But you know what? He made that Fellini comment on our last show, on this show, not on the comic book show, because he watched it. So I know there's a chance he could watch this.
That's great. Yeah, I'm sure he's not a dick anymore.
Oh man, speaking of dick, what a perfect segue, Larry, because today we could talk a little bit about our new segment. You don't know dick about sci-fi, right?
Yeah, I love it.
We don't have too much Star Trek to cover, or do we? Do we have some?
Well, here's the thing. Let's explain this, because I'm pretty sure a lot of people don't know who that guy is. That is not Don Simpson. That's Philip K. Dick, the guy who did Blade Runner and Minority Report, Through a Scanner Darkly, which was a really cool rotoscope thing that Richard Linklater did. Has Keanu Reeves and Robert Downey Jr. in it, but nobody really knows that movie. It's really good. Philip K. Dick is probably my favorite drug-addled science fiction writer ever.
Yeah, he's the guy, right? So if you're gonna get serious about sci-fi, we're gonna talk about Philip K. Dick, and this is mostly because one, I'm just kind of Star Trek ignorant these days. I gave Prodigy a shot.
Well, there's a little, there's a little lull in the Star Trek. So even if, obviously, Price is the guy, but I love talking to you about it because you are a connoisseur of pop culture, of which, Star Trek's a part of the tapestry.
Yeah.
Me and Price are like, that's where we started, with Star Trek. So everything else is like stuff we enjoy, but that's our root. So I love talking to you. It's like a unindicted co-conspirator. Right? Like, well, you didn't get all the way into the Watergate, but you knew all about it. So
I'm dying to watch. Actually, I'm going to watch, I think maybe the first episode of Picard, just so I can be ashamed, just so I can understand how.
Oh man, you're on it. The first episode of the second season, the one that's coming up. Yeah. So Prodigy just finished, and I literally watched it and paid attention, and I couldn't tell you what happened. It's that show is just not for me. It's anyway. So Picard, I think, is the next one, March 3rd, right?
I mean, I haven't watched any of them, so I'm wondering, should I watch the first, the original, like try just get the concept, or should I jump in now? Because as I understand, they're trying to merge it a little bit with what's going on in some of the other Star Trek stuff.
I think if you got the time, Picard is a super interesting case of of the modern Star Trek. Because Patrick Stewart's in it. Riker and Troy show up, so other people are referenced. Yeah, there you go. So I mean, it'll be interesting to. Oh gosh, of course. I'm sitting at my desktop and I just got a note for something about the San Diego hotel stuff that it looks like San Diego's a thing this year. So
yeah, really?
Yeah. So we have to act like it's going to go forward, and today is the hotel thing. So whatever. But this is more important. So yeah. So if I was you, I'd watch the first season of Picard. It's not bad, but it's not like it's hard to describe, right? I won't say that it's not good. It's high quality, but it seems like there's 2 or 3 episodes missing in between every episode. Right? They'll introduce some characters and then you don't see them again. And you're like, well, wait, what was the point of that? And then one of the main characters of the new guys in Picard, which you'll need to know for season 2, right? They straight up murder somebody and it's never mentioned again. She kills a main character in a medical bay, and everybody knows, oh, you shouldn't have killed that guy. And it's like, that's very non-Star Trek, right? Like a murder that's not good old Tony.
With no consequences.
Yeah, there's not even mentioning it again. It's like, yeah, you shouldn't have killed that guy. Oh well. Nope. Nobody even mentions it again.
How does that? I mean, I assume stuff like that happens because the shows are written by different writers and different, like they're on a team, but they're writing in parallel, and some things start to change. Because how can you? Something like that is so illogical and makes no sense. I have to think that they just forgot about it.
No, I kind of don't have an answer for you. I have my suspicions, but I'm not sitting in the writer's room. I mean, Star Trek has a writer's room, right? So, did the coronavirus make everybody work from home? I don't know, but that really shouldn't matter, right? I mean, because you're communicating with other writers. My suspicion is that somebody has a great through line, and Alex Kurtzman comes and rewrites individual episodes, not giving a shit about whether that's going to pay off later or makes any sense at all. That's my suspicion. I would love to have somebody confirm that. It's like I hear a lot of.
He's writing the majority of the episodes, or just EP?
No. He's Kurtzman's like the overarching showrunner for Star Trek, right?
Yeah,
all the Star Trek shows, and
he's not writing individual things. He's just
he has. I mean, he created the show, right? Discovery.
I would expect.
He's a really good administrative guy. I mean, you got to give it to him. Like the show, the trains all run on time, right? And I personally love his work on Transformers, the Transformers movie. I mean, that did what it said on the tin, right? I'm banana cakes for Fringe. Do you know that show, the Fox?
Yeah.
Show
That's him, right? I thought you.
Yeah, he and Orsi basically did that show, and so it's not that I'm capping on the guy for his abilities, right? It's just in this very specific thing, he just doesn't understand Star Trek, and I think that he's wrapped up in this is my baby, and so he can't just hire writers and then guide from afar. He has something to say about it because he came up with the characters with Brian Fuller and all the other whatever mess that was in the beginning, where they had a real trouble launching that show. I mean, so I think he's got in the habit of, going, oh, well, let's make this better, and he makes it less Star Trek, so much like me calling Don Simpson a dick. I mean, it was like he did something once in 1999 that made me mad, right? It's I'm sure he's fine, and I'm sure Alex Kurtzman is fine. It's just from my own personal view, he's shitting up my favorite show.
He is the he's the mirror universe version of Jon Favreau, right? Who's now running things from above and making things like I was bummed. I was kind of bummed when they announced the new Book of Boba Fett show was going to be different. Well, because I was like, I like the Mandalorian. I want that to just continue, keep going.
Right.
And
Right,
now
right.
we realize, of course, it is. It's just a saga that's going on, and they're going to fold in more of the characters and just come back, change the focus a little bit. But it's one continuing narrative, which is wonderful.
Well, as you know, I spend a lot of time chewing this over on Facebook with my buddy, my friends, right? And somebody, I wish I could remember. I have a feeling it was Stuart Vernon, but somebody said the perfect thing about the Book of Boba Fett is that that's a monthly comic book, right? And that's why it goes at the rate it's going. That's the monthly Boba Fett book. But then Mandalorian shows up and Boba Fett's not in it, right? Because that's an annual. That's like the Mandalorian annual.
Yes.
Right. And then they said, and then he shows up, and then it's like the Luke and Grogu winter special or whatever, right? It's like all this stuff is of a piece, and for some reason the pop culture people just don't get that. They're like, what's Mandalorian doing in my book? It's like, and then I think this is what Stuart said. Whoever I'm stealing this from, like, I'm sorry because it was perfect, but it was like Marvel fans, like if you're reading Iron Man, right? And Iron Man sneezes, Daredevil and Spider-Man say Gesundheit. Like, that's nothing in a comic book, right?
Right.
And so that's just the same thing here. It's like, yeah, of course Mandalorian showed up. It's because it's all one big world. And Favreau, of all people, he's the guy who did that in movies. He started the MCU. If Iron Man doesn't work, we don't get any of those movies. And he's just doing the same thing for Star Wars. And people have something to complain about.
Total, dude.
I don't get it, man.
I was kind of bummed, to be honest. I'm like, okay, I'll give Boba Fett show a chance, and I like the narrative structure of those first 2 episodes, and I was in. I'm invested, even though a lot of people were not. And then I watched this last episode, and I'm like, dude, that is really Luke Skywalker. Like, that's right. Him right there.
Yeah, it really is. Yeah, can we go back, just roll it back a little? Like, Boba Fett, those first 4 episodes that people are all mad about, those people are stupid.
Yeah,
and all deserve not to have children, because we don't want you raising people that are going to be stupid. Because my big thing about pop culture, consumption and contextualization is that this stuff doesn't exist in a vacuum. You're not making, well, I'm a Boba Fett show and I want Boba Fett from 1983.
Yeah.
Well, he got hit in the back with of his jetpack with a blind guy and got ate by an ass with teeth. Do you really want a show about that guy? Because you're bananas. What people mean is they want, you're no good to be dead.
Yeah.
And we have that show. His name is just Din Djarin now, right? So if you're bringing Boba Fett back, he has to be a different character. Otherwise, what's the point? So just take all your Boba Fett love and watch The Mandalorian. Like the people who,
not to mention how it expands the canon of Star Wars itself in a natural way, and really sets up now this Mandalorian versus Jedi thing, which was never a thing in the movies. It was never from the original, right? It adds a richness.
I could not agree more. They're just expanding the world, and and regular Joes don't understand that, right? It's like, so they took, there you go. That's a good, this is a thing just in Japanese culture, right? That I just literally watched Jeff Goldblum talk about this. He did the World According to Jeff Goldblum on Disney. Sure. They did they dropped another 6 episodes, and I watched the birthday one when I was eating lunch yesterday. And they said one of the interesting things they have in Japan is that when on the baby's first birthday, they will array like 5 things, and whatever the baby chooses is how their life is going to go. And so this is great. Do you want to be a regular person playing with a ball, or do you want to be a samurai and cut some people up? So that's
how great would it be, though, if it was, because in Lone Wolf and Cub, his whole thing was like, okay, if he chooses the sword, then he can come with me. If he chooses the ball, like he's too weak, he'll never survive. I'm gonna kill him. So how great would it be if Luke Skywalker just killed Grogu if he made the
I think after at the end of his Jedi instructional force, I think that might have happened. I think Grogu is gone by the time Luke loses his shit.
He kind of has to be,
Ben
maybe,
kills
right?
everybody. Well, here's I mean, what's your thought? You're up to date on Boba Fett. You think he's gonna choose Yoda's lightsaber or choose the Grogu's chainmail suit?
If we're going with the themes of the show, right, and knowing what we know about Luke's bitterness and what became of that temple and everything else that we sort of know about, right, from the newer movies, I'm gonna lean towards he takes the armor and is exiled from the Jedi's, just because it goes with the themes of family and togetherness and all the Mandalorian values that they're trying to sell. So
yeah, I like that interpretation. That's great.
Well, remember in the beginning too, remember in the first seasons, I talked with you about this even. There was that gear shift knob ball thing.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And that's really what I thought was going to be wrapped up in the handkerchief, like something that somehow eluded.
Oh my God. Really? Just like, yeah.
If they had a ball, and it made me think of this moment. So I was like, they're going to do the ball and the sword thing. I was thinking of this moment way back then.
Here's the thing. Here's what I think, because it's Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni. I really think they're setting up all kinds of stuff to make it not be that. Oh, you know what? They mentioned the Mandalorian Jedi. What's his name? Tal Vizsla, something. Who was the guy who did both? And I think that's what they're setting up. I believe, for some reason, the audience just wants all this shit downloaded into their brain like the Matrix. Like, just sit up and go, I know Star Wars now. And that's just not how television works. So I think that they're going to have him choose the chainmail vest, and everybody's going to say, oh, look, it's the Mandalorian. And I think in season 3 of Mandalorian, he's going to somehow get back with Grogu, because Luke says, no, I can't teach him. He's chosen your way. And he's like, yeah, but he's got this lightsaber, man. Like, why can't he do both? I really think that Grogu's
and then them to be the compromise between the two.
Not just compromise, like bringing balance to the Force, right?
Yeah.
I think that balance to the Force you must have, but get through me you must.
Okay. So,
and then he's got the Darksaber, right? I think in 300 years, Grogu Jaren is running Mandalore.
Okay. But so that's the fun way that this ends. But we know these guys like the 70s. These are all 70s things, right? And what the hallmark of the 70s is no fucking happy endings. Let's kill a baby. I think they killed this baby.
No, see, this is the thing. I think that's one of the hallmarks of the 70s. That's what the choice is, right? I also think, half of Star Wars is all just Jonathan Livingston Seagull and smoking dope and going, hey, man, I wish I could help, right? So I think that's what they're saying. That is the choice that Grogu is making. And I think it's both, man. I think you can do both. I think you can be cool about it while you murder bad guys. That's the 70s to me.
I guess that's the 21st century resolution to that. That problem.
Nobody loves 70s stuff more than me. I mean, like, all of Black Diamond is just my love letter to all of those everybody dies movies, and nobody learns anything, right? So, but I don't think you get that. Everybody forgets Star Wars is a fairy tale. I don't remember any fairy tale that ends badly. I mean, bad shit happens.
Babies get eaten in fairy tales.
Babies get eaten, sure, but it doesn't end. A fairy tale doesn't end with evil winning.
Because I believe it gave us that. That's what the whole Baby Yoda training sequence was really. I saw people comparing it to Golden Book's version of Star Wars or something.
Yeah.
Which is, I have my comment on this is that what we're seeing now on these Star Wars things is the inversion of all the old Star Wars cartoons and shows and whatever, in the sense that those had like one little moment of something cool in them, maybe, and then the rest were shitty, like the Star Wars Christmas special or the Ewok show. Like Boba Fett showed up once in the Ewok show, right? So in this show, these shows, which are so amazing looking, just like special effects, these are hands down theatrical movie quality now.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
It's completely balanced out. And so there's moments in where people might go, oh, I thought the mods thing was a little cheesy, or the baby scene was a little cutesy. But if that's the worst you can say, and the rest of this amazing thing, we take for granted just how great.
I think regular people take it for granted.
That's what I mean.
I see all the stuff that's just ridiculous. It's in service of awesome. So you know what? Ridiculous stuff happens in your life. Like, Price can't be with us today because some dumb thing scheduling happened, right? Like, I tried to get a couple of guys in here and they're like, we're living life. And so at some point in your escapist entertainment, to have it feel real, your characters have to go do ridiculous stuff. And it's not like all this stuff doesn't have antecedents in Star Wars already. Like, the mods showing up is like, yeah, you can see those guys parking out in front of the 50s diner that Obi-Wan goes to, right?
Sure, totally true.
I mean, how is that atonal for Star Wars?
Well, people didn't like that too. Some people complained about that or whatever.
I would make the argument, though, that those people are not interacting with their entertainment in the correct way, right? There's a way to enjoy escapist entertainment, and that's to take all of that, finding fault in little stuff, whatever people call that. Like, it's not human nature to be like, oh yes, I had this most amazing sex ever, but maybe she could have been dressed up like a Chewbacca or something. That would have been better. Right? I mean, it's like, what are you talking about, man? You just lost your virginity. Say thank you.
I mean, I would have been the first one to call it out if I thought if I didn't like the show really. Like, I would call it for what it is. And I do have quibbles with a couple of moments and some of the pacing and some of the decisions, like the inverted story structure of the first 4 episodes of the Boba Fett, I liked, but I think it confused so many people who didn't quite understand how they were trying to make it happen. And I thought it paid off perfectly and led into the Mandalorian stuff now. And it's really one long, seamless show. And that's the genius part.
Yeah.
That's never been pulled off before. The spin-off shows are always like, you wish that the other characters from the show you loved would be in it more, and it would be more like that other show. Like the Ropers. You wish Jack and Chrissy would show up to the Ropers, right?
So I love that you said it's never been done before, because it has once, and who did it? Right? Jon Favreau. Like, this is literally
right with the MCU. You're saying.
I mean, this is Falcon and Winter Soldier and WandaVision.
Yes.
And everything. It's like, how do you get it for Marvel and you don't get it for Star Wars? It's literally the same thing. It's like, you can quibble. Maybe there's a lot of flashbacks I didn't need to know, but like, I loved every second of that. Yeah, man. Give me a whole show where Tamura's in the Bacta tank and we see him like 20 seconds and then spend it all on the Tusken Raiders. I was mad there wasn't 4 episodes of him learning to be a Tusken Raider.
Agreed. I thought there was a lot of stuff. I thought he was going to get tortured or something by them a lot more.
Yeah.
But I did love the drug scenes and all that stuff. They did it.
I honestly thought that I was kind of bummed out that they murdered everybody, because being a Tusken Raider is rough, I guess, huh? Like, everybody's getting killed all the time, because I wanted to see him go, we need some help, and good thing that, I'm little big man and I have these desert warriors to call upon. And
well, dude, if
settle that one, right?
If the Tusken Raiders aren't the, Afghanistan, isn't basically Afghanistan, right? With these dudes that are out there, like, really war torn, low tech people that are able to stand up against, much huger forces than them. I'm not trying to lionize the Afghanistan force, but they beat the Soviet Union and they beat us, right? And they're just a tough people.
Yeah. Any scowl I had was I was just trying to get your metaphor. I'm like, I kind of want them to be Arabs, right? But they don't really have that economic backing of like oil or water or whatever.
Well, they are
Anyway,
bringing up the spice stuff, and okay, and let's
yeah.
call it like it is too. How much of this stuff is just George Lucas really liked Dune too?
Yeah,
Because
no. I mean, you don't even hear people saying that because it's so goddamn obvious, right? Like from the first time you really see the droids on Tatooine, they make it a crate dragon, but they show you a sandworm skeleton like first thing.
totally,
Like, so if you didn't get in 1977 that the sand planet is supposed to be Arrakis and
right.
they just call it Tatooine, if you didn't get that, like here's a sandworm,
Well, and when
like
did
I
they
don't know.
first mention spice mining in Star Wars? It must in Star Wars, right? They talk about like Kessel.
Yeah, do you want me to tell you because
Yeah,
I know this entire scene by
yeah, I
heart?
don't know it.
Nobody believes this, but my friend Rick Austin had a Betamax and spent $80 on a Star Wars Betamax, right? Which back then that's like $300. That's like that was like more than a week's pay for him
Yeah.
at that point. And we watched that show every day for a year. So that's 365, no kidding, like right off the top of that. I've seen that movie so many times, but they first mention it. 3PO says, we'll be sent to the spice mines of Kessel.
Yes, that's
remember
what
when he's walking through so it's like the first 5 minutes of Star Wars. So you got some Dune there.
But did we ever establish what Star Wars spice is?
Oh no, not in the movies, because it doesn't matter. It's the spice melange from Dune.
Sure. So, but now, and the spice melange, interestingly, it literally is a spice you would make food out of, as well as having these psychogenic effects. I wonder, is it a drug or is it a spice? I would love it, frankly, if it was just like turmeric or something. Like it just made food unbelievably tasty.
Oh, just in the Star Wars world?
Yeah, like in Star Wars, it's basically MSG.
Yeah.
It's just
wouldn't that be awesome? It's just like, these guys really like oregano, right? Or whatever.
Because I think if they take it in the direction too Dune-ish, it's too derivative, right? So like
so far it's just a commodity that everyone values, right?
It could legitimately be a spice, it
could just be trades. Like I gotta have this powdered garlic on my stuff, man.
It's delish.
All right, let's just call it right now because they haven't said anything. In the absence of that, on the is this a backdoor pilot? Serious sci-fi now. So in the first episode of Serious Sci-Fi, Dan and I have called that it's just a spice.
It's purely culinary.
Just a thing people really value. Hard to get. It only grows on Tatooine. It doesn't do anything except make your ice cream better, right?
John Price.
John Price. Oh, yeah, exactly. Star Wars. That's what I love about Star Wars, though. And that's why
derivative, right?
That's why everybody likes it, because your favorite thing is in it.
Yeah.
I love Star Wars, but now I get to be a space cowboy. Thank you, Timothy Olyphant.
Ultimately, all of George Lucas's favorite stuff, and I'm just gonna say, Lucas gets hate. He must have been such a cool, like he loved really cool stuff. He had such a fun like 50s life and loved rocket ships and stuff and like.
But I mean, that's all of pop culture, right? Like everything, like Astronauts in Trouble, my signature book came because I loved Planet of the Apes and Capricorn 1 and fucking I Dream of Jeannie. It's an astronaut in trouble, right? So then you just put the stuff that you like. It's a big pop culture bucket. And you go, I like this. I like cars. I like samurai. I like, that wizard thing is a story structure thing. Yeah, I need a princess. Man, in 3 movies from now, I'll put her in a bikini from John Carter. You know what I mean? It's like, that's everything. So Star Wars as a derivative just kind of isn't a ding.
And it's kind of funny because most of the people now, especially the younger generation that might be Star Wars fans, don't know those things. Like,
you know what I honestly think it is? I really enjoyed $1 Million Mailbox yesterday, a comic book thing that you should you guys should hit that what do you say? Like and subscribe with it.
Sure, yes.
But where we were kind of talking that everything is kind of derivative, right? It's not really a ding. So, but the kids now have grown up in the like world of like, let's respect everybody. That's cultural appropriation. Like, it's not cultural appropriation to make tacos, right? It's also you're like working with what you got, right? And so it's not Star Wars being derivative isn't appropriating anything. It's like putting it all into one big thing and making your own dinner because that's what you have on hand. I mean, Star Wars specifically, he made Star Wars because he couldn't get the rights to Flash Gordon. Like straight up right there.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah. So yeah, Dino De Laurentiis had the rights to Flash Gordon. And so he's like, well, I kind of don't really need Flash Gordon. I just need the rugged guy and the cute girl and his best friend. And then I'll just say, I like samurai movies.
Yeah.
That Hidden Fortress movie was great.
In it.
Stir it all up, man. And now we have Timothy Olyphant playing the same character he played in Deadwood, and Justified. It's just like he's playing the same guy. It's just he's got a blaster now instead of a police issued whatever they issue.
Well, and that's the next series that's coming, right? Is going to be those Ranger guys, and it was going to be with him and Gina Carano and all these other people.
They were talking about it. Oliphant said he wasn't going to be in a lockdown to a TV show, which made me sad. I cried for a day about that, just weeping, openly weeping, like I was early before the show that John Price wasn't going to be joining us. But yeah, he's good enough for a guest star, right? So that's cool. And they're setting up Cad Bane, and what did Gina Carano? What's her name? Gina.
That's
whatever.
it.
Yeah. What did she really do besides like stupid shit on the internet? That doesn't mean she's not an amazing Star Wars character, and everybody needs to apologize to her.
Yeah, I think I agree with that. Although something tells me you don't get fired from a show like that unless you're tough to work with or something. Like,
did you see all the actors coming out and going, no?
Yeah, that's where I started to turn on it.
It's not because she wasn't hard. She was hard to work. It wasn't because she was hard to work with. It was straight up like embarrassing Disney and not wanting to, keep it quiet.
And she's just not famous enough to be able to do that because Disney has,
to get the James Gunn exemption. You mean?
Yeah, the James Gunn, or like, dude, nobody's canceling. What's his face? Buzz Lightyear, right? Because he's a very conservative guy. And they'll give him crisp Santa Claus movie after Buzz Lightyear movie and whatever. If he's making them enough money. With Corona, they're like, does she mean anything? Does dollars and cents wise? Let's jettison her.
I love that somebody like Tim Allen gets a pass because
Tim Allen.
It's like what's the Supreme Court Justice guy Obama tried to get in, who's now our Secretary of his name is the attorney, the what is that called? Merrick Garland. Like, he just walked into his attorney job for the world. I forget what that's called. What is that called? It's the district attorney for the country.
Yeah. He's
but he just walked in because he had been vetted for the Supreme Court, right? So I think that's what Tim Allen's getting. He's been, all his like canceling shit has been dealt with. He was like in jail for cocaine. It's not because he's conservative. It's because he was crazy. But everybody worked all that out through the 80s and 90s. And now he's sort of a beloved character, right? It's like, oh, drunken grandpa saying your crazy shit about Trump. Gina didn't get that luxury, right? She came to attention in the world where it's like, well, we're going to get you, instead of like recognize, okay, I don't agree with everything she says, but that doesn't matter. She can pick up a guy wearing 250 pounds of Star Wars costume and drag him across the street without special effects.
Yeah.
Right? That girl's a monster. Like, that's who you want in TV. Like, they're not having a Mandalorian show where she's telling us what she thinks about, the Holocaust or whatever. Right? Like, who cares? Like, I don't know. It's like, I think people should do the job that they've been hired for, and everybody should just let them. You know, like the audience wants a say in stuff. Like, you know, I mean, I understand how the world works, and I love ripping on Star Trek Discovery, but like, I'm not saying I could do a better job, right? I can't handle all the Hollywood politics that needs to happen. Like, I could write a story that would make you cry, but like, it would never get to that point to being produced because I would tell everyone to fuck off every 5 seconds, right? And that's really all Gina is doing, right? She's like, I just want to do my acting job. Fuck off. So I'm saying this other stuff. And they're like, well, we're going to get you. I don't think the audience deserves that power. I just don't.
And there was an example recently of somebody who I would have thought would have had enough juice to weather it, but really got taken down, which was Roseanne.
Yeah.
Well, ironically, with a sci-fi reference, got taken down.
What was her thing? I forget.
She said that, I forget who the lady she was talking about, looked like Cornelius from Planet of the Apes.
Oh, yeah.
Not realizing that she even had African-American heritage, because it's not obvious looking at her. And she did look like Cornelius. Like, she did look like the character.
That's one of those things where it's like, I get what you were saying, but I also get why that happened. You know, it's like, because then you're in the whole, like, I'm explaining a joke.
Yes.
You know? So if you have to explain a joke, and believe me, I know this one, it just, you didn't do your job. The writer of the joke or the presenter of the joke didn't tell it well enough that everybody knew it was a joke. And then the joke wasn't good enough to stand on its own as a joke to be obvious to everyone. Right?
It was too obscure.
So you get this thing where smart people are going, oh, I get your joke, but man, you shouldn't have said that because the dumb people didn't. And that's a shitty place to be.
But also, to get it, you have to really, because if you see that picture and you're of our age and vintage and you like Planet of the Apes,
you totally
got it right away. And you're like, ha, yes, she does look like that character actor in makeup.
Right.
But if you didn't, you just go, oh, she looks like a monkey. Right. So
and you can't make that joke about Africa. I get it. Here's the thing. I think everything's funny. I think you should tell whatever fucking joke you want, make any kind of comment later, except you need to understand your audience. Like, I could have the most hilarious, like, you know, cancer joke ever, but you wouldn't tell it to a guy whose dad just died of lung cancer.
Okay.
Right?
All right.
And so that's what Roseanne did. She just whiffed her audience. That's all, and paid for it. And honestly, that's great. That's a great win because I don't care about Roseanne. I do care about Cara Dune, like coming in and arm wrestling my friend the Mandalorian. Like, and her stuff is just so like, it's like everybody doesn't have that one friend who's a little inappropriate, right? It's like all of my friends are morons, right? Well, they're super, super smart people, but to the point where they forget that everyone isn't like them.
Okay, this
and
comment
I think
here,
that's Roseanne.
This comment here, this is what in my heart I go, like, people don't get fired from shows unless somebody didn't like working with her. Like, maybe not the actors, but maybe like her contract negotiations, maybe her agent was an asshole. Like, there are other reasons.
It can happen. Yeah.
And they just were looking for an excuse. And
they were looking. I love the whole, like, she's hard to work with thing. Like, yeah, because she gives a shit about her job. I'm hard to work with. I'm like not the easiest guy to get along with, but if we're all on the same page, I'm your best friend. And I think that's her. I hope that's her.
Okay. I'm a little fuzzy on this topic, Larry. I'm still, I don't know. So we'll get there
in a second. That's better.
Yeah. Because I don't know. I've known it, like, being a guy that's difficult to work with myself sometimes. Like, in the past, because
you give a shit. That's why.
Yes, but I didn't know when to. I didn't know how, like, when to fight my battles. Like, that was a lesson that I only learned it in the past 20 years, right? Yeah. Like, the first 20 years, I didn't know it until I lost some opportunities.
Yeah.
Not out of lack of skill or whatever, just by like, just kind of rubbing people the wrong way. That's what made me think this about Carano.
I think you're absolutely right, and I think based on I'm very similar to that. I learned it recently, and I don't. It's like, and I don't think I even learned that lesson. I think I can speak German phonetically. You know, I can do that lesson. I can say the stuff people want to hear now, but I don't mean it. And I think that you and me are lucky that we learned how to navigate that in our lives out of the public eye. I think Gina just has to learn that hard lesson in public.
I don't know. Maybe we're also lucky enough to have jobs where we got to do things like where we got to call the shots. Like we pulled it, you know what I mean? Like we just did our own thing I did anyway, because it wasn't, this working with groups thing wasn't quite working out.
I'm not set up for an office job. That's all I can tell you. Poor Gina, though. Wow, we went off on that. I would like to say I don't agree with the shit she's saying, but I wildly love that she's saying it, because you can't take that away from people. You just can't. And that's where some of the more progressive guys go, well, you know, there's freedom of speech, but not freedom from consequence. And that's great. I think that's how it should be. I just think the punishment did not fit the crime in this case. You know?
Yeah, which is where it was. This is where I go, that's a fig leaf. It's like, oh man, let's bring it to current Earth events. You know, Jeff Zucker of CNN.
Yes.
So he just resigned, and he's like, oh, I had an inappropriate relationship that I didn't disclose. And a lot of people are saying that, like, that is just kind of a fig leaf for something else that's happening. And he's going to use that as his reason so he can make a departure before, like, a lot worse things come out.
You know, yeah. I mean, you know, unless it's like crazy criminal, I think you should let people have a little dignity on the way out. You know, I mean, I think that's a separate issue, honestly. Like, go ahead, you know, I want to spend more time with my family. That's great. Right. And then if there's something bigger later, that will come out, and we'll, you know, that'll put it in context. But like in the moment, oh man, my thing, like my poor mouse ran out of batteries, and now kinds of shit is happening on my screen. So
and you can't
leave me. If I leave you, yeah, I can't stop all this stuff. That's not my. Anyway.
Well, I want to, before we go, Larry, before we get out of here, we're going to have to get out of here fairly soon. I just want to thank our sponsors for today. I want to thank Romulan Ale for their generous sponsorship. You know, over at Romulan Ale, their motto is, you know, Romulans, we're kind of like Vulcans, except we like to get drunk. So enjoy a frosty Romulan Ale.
I actually have a bottle of that stuff. That's the stuff they sold at Quark's Bar at the Las Vegas Star Trek Experience.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Is it beer?
Yeah, it's Miller beer, produced by Miller. It's just regular Miller beer in new packaging, and it's blue. And so I don't know if you've had food coloring before, but I peed blue for like 12 hours.
Did you know?
After drinking 3 of those.
Well, there's an actual medical condition, Larry, known as Frankenberry stool, from because the original red dye. Well, let me turn myself around here. Hang on. The original red dye that they used was indigestible to humans, and and there was a huge rash of people coming in because their poop was turning pink. Yeah, and it was an actual like term that was coined in the medical.
That's great. Yeah. I love it.
It's happened to me recently when I ate a bag of Terra chips, sweets and beets.
Oh, yeah, beets will do it. Yeah.
It scared the hell out of me. And I took a picture of my poop and I sent it to Terra chips, and they sent me coupons for more Terra chips.
They're like, did they explain it? They're like, hey, sorry. When I was a boy, when I was an infant, my well, not an infant, I guess, be toddler at this point, right? You're eating solid food. My mom like panicked and just started feeding me carrots. Like carrots good for your vision, and all the beta carotene in that turned my skin orange.
Yeah.
So she took me to the pediatrician and like, my baby's orange. What's happening? And they laughed at her, just like, which is really disconcerting. Your baby's orange, and now everybody's laughing that you have an orange kid, and it's going to be like you have to hope he grows so nobody thinks he's an Oompa Loompa. I mean, it's like literally that orange. And they were like, yeah, just, don't feed him yellow vegetables for like a month. Just swap to beans, leave squash and carrots out, and eventually turn back to regular color.
You know what the biggest sign of, they say, for COVID that says if you've got it, like, don't worry about it unless this, and then you should go to the hospital. You know what that sign is?
Oh, no, what?
It's blue lips, Larry. It's blue lips.
Well, I'm glad we're getting our medical advice from a couple of morons talking about Star Wars.
I shouldn't have even said that. Watch this thing get flagged for
just say
misinformation.
It's an obvious joke. Nobody cares.
Just watch it. And here's what I say to the censors, Larry.
Yes. So you know what's going to happen? You're going to end up like Gina now. They're going to kick you off a serious Star Trek.
That's the beauty. I run the show here.
Right. All you have to do is go down to engineering, turn off life support, and then what do you have to say, everybody?
Yeah. Well, I think, Larry, what do we want to talk about next week? We got any Star Trek specific stuff? Do we want to dip back in time again, look at an old episode? I'm down to look at some Next Generation stuff, whatever you want.
Yeah. I mean, we should probably arrange with Price, make sure that
of course
he we'll do it first thing. So if it is a review of an old show, we can get you watching it, get the kids up to date, have it fresh in their minds.
Which show? I'm sorry.
Just anything, if we happen to say let's do Khan or one of the good Next Generation ones.
Well, we did Space Seed, and we were talking about doing Wrath of Khan.
That's what I meant, Wrath of Khan. Yeah,
I would love to do. There's a couple of Star Trek, the Next Generation episode ones that are favorites of mine. There's one.
Oh yeah. Which ones? Tell me, hit me.
Well, there's one that I'll bet you would like. It's one of the few props that I ever purchased at a convention. I saw this thing, and it was such an obscure but cool Star Trek prop. I had to have it. It was the one where the collector dude collects Mr. Data, like he steals data, and then he has this special blaster that's like I even forgot what it's called, but it was like the ultimate destroyer handgun, just this little tiny ray gun, and one of my favorites, just because I love those kind of nerdy Data episodes. I was always a Mr. Data.
Yeah, that's I forget the actor's name, but that's the guy who ran Warehouse 13. My good pals Ben Rabb and Derek Hughes were they ran the writers' room of that show, and so I checked it out because friends of mine were working on it. That show's bananas good. It's like
what's it called?
Warehouse 13.
Oh yeah, I know. I watched it.
Oh man, you would love it. It's the pitches at the end of Raiders of the Lost Ark. The big warehouse has all that stuff. Sure. That's Warehouse 13, and so every episode is like another thing in the box. So like,
I love those kind of episodes. I love those kind of shows.
It's a really good show. It ran for like 5 seasons, 6 seasons. The main character.
How much? What an age of like richness there. You hear about a weird show, you're like, I've never heard of that, and they're like, it's great, and there's 5 seasons out there already to watch, and you've never even heard of it.
Not just that, but it's like it's all there for you to watch, right? Like when I was a kid, Gene Roddenberry did this thing called the Quester tapes, and I bought the novelization by DC Fontana, who was also a Star Trek writer, and they did a 2-hour pilot. Remember the old days? If they did a pilot, they just shot a movie, and if the pilot didn't get picked up, they burned it on Saturday night, and you got to watch it.
Yeah, it was just a movie. Yeah.
So there was like Exo-Man, it was great. It was like Iron Man, and the Clone Master. That was my favorite thing ever. because a scientist cloned 13 guys, and at the end he gets killed and sends the clones out. So the show would have been every episode is what happened to a particular clone. So even though you have like an actor playing the same guy, the star of your show, every episode he gets to play a different guy. So that's like an actor's dream, right?
Yeah, that's
and I was like, man, yeah, well, kind of, yeah, except it's the same guy, right?
Yeah, same guy.
Anyway,
kind of different.
So Gene Roddenberry did this thing called the Quester tapes. It's like a proto data, right? That there was ancient astronauts set up a robot to observe human civilization, and every like 100 years or so it changes a little, and this is like the new guy is being updated because the other robot is breaking down. But before he gets all his data about mankind, the old guy dies, and the pass off of information doesn't happen. And so the idea is that Mike Farrell from MASH, the guy who plays BJ, carries this guy around, and he interacts like, oh, what an interesting thing you humans have here. You know, it seemed like a really cool idea. And like, you wouldn't do it now because it's basically data, right? But I'm like, I never saw it. And so now it's on YouTube. You watch it whenever you want. Right? So that's the thing about cool stuff that you hear about. Oh, it's 5 seasons. What's that? It's like, oh, well, it's on HBO Max now or whatever, right? It's like that's the cool thing about living in the world, I think.
Well, the barrier to entry to watch the things is so low too. Yet there's still so much I haven't watched. Like
Tony's right. That actor Saul Rubinek. Yeah,
Saul.
He's great. Yeah.
Yeah, he's been in a million things. Was he?
He really has. So he's a very distinctive actor for being a successful character guy, because usually character actors just like, you know, they disappear into the role.
Yes.
And you kind of you can't like say everything he's been in. But Saul Rubinek, while playing a different guy every time, is still him.
He's like a Paul Giamatti type before Giamatti broke so big, you know, like those kind of guys that you're like, oh, I've seen him in so many movies.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
They should
I don't understand why like Rex and some of the Bad Batch guys haven't showed up. They have Tamora Morrison right there. Like give him hair, give him a beard, you know, but that, you know what? That's like the Book of Boba Fett season 4.
Totally, yeah.
I mean, I think
got room to go into those areas for sure. Oh man, the only other show me and my wife watch, the 2 other shows we watch. I love Book of Boba Fett right now. I love The Righteous Gemstones, okay, which is a comedy. But then right in the middle of between science fiction and hilarious comedy is Peacemaker, Larry, a show both of us really like.
Yeah.
There's no other show I've ever seen like it. It's super funny, yet incredibly great action, sci-fi, and super sad and emotional at the same time as like
it's dark as hell, isn't it?
Super dark.
The emotions are dark, yeah. Like,
but not afraid to go into racist characters and all the stuff they're doing. They're not pulling any punches.
Oh yeah. I just love his origin story about why he wants to be a superhero. It's because his father like made him murder somebody, and his brother died of a stroke or something, and he got blamed for it. You know, and so now he's just trying to do the best he can from such a deeply fucked up start as a human being. Who doesn't like that? I got a feeling that's a theme that James Gunn hits a lot, and so that makes me have some suspicions about his childhood.
Wait, this might be the comment of the show, Larry.
Wookiees have teeth. Yeah. It's canon. That was a funny line in Peacemaker, I gotta say. I love what they did. You know, we're old school comic guys, so I have sort of a affinity for the Adrian Chase vigilante character, but he ends up so fucked up that I'm kind of glad they turned him into TV Deadpool, because it's a little easier to watch.
I am almost positive we're going to see the same end for the vigilante in this series as we saw in the comics.
Yeah, but at least this way it's going to be funny.
I don't know. I think it's going to be super sad, because he's a super sad incel type. That's the whole story they're going for here. So to have him,
let me
sell it.
Oh, you just blew it. I was talking around it.
I'll throw it out there because it's just a predict. The other part of me goes, if the show's a hit, if he doesn't do it this season, then it might not happen because he'll be such a popular character.
Yeah, I think James Gunn knows. I think he's just redeeming that character, right? It's like
I don't know, man. He's too likable.
I'd be super surprised.
He's too likable.
That's what I mean. You don't kill the likable guy.
Yes, you do. This show, you do. That's the thing. It would be so sad.
I'm just sad that you're probably right. I don't want to admit it.
I don't know, man. I love having a show that wants to make you sad, though. Like, wants you to feel something else besides just like some flat level of corniness that's consistent throughout the show. Like, they're taking it to real highs and lows in all directions.
Did you see you saw this week's already, didn't you?
Yeah, I watched it.
Peacemaker?
Yep.
So what do you think about it? That's really John Cena playing the piano. So I don't know if you had piano lessons, but I did. And I did not stick with it to get even that good.
I think at first I was really looking hard, and I'm like, because usually in those they'll do a tight shot of somebody's hands, and it's like you can't fake the humongous veins on that dude's arms. Like it would have to be a special effects shot. It could have got me.
Yeah, that show wasn't over, and I was Googling from my daddy chair in the living room, and I found instantly James Gunn's like, nope, John Cena's a musical prodigy, and I'm like, all right. So I didn't read the article because I was watching the show at the time. But
have you seen? And he speaks Mandarin Chinese.
Cool. Have you seen really? That's crazy.
Oh, you haven't seen that clip?
This kind of stuff. I haven't, but
you got it. Oh, we'll bring that in on a future episode, Larry, for sure. Because if you haven't heard of it, he made a clip in Chinese apologizing to the Chinese people for referring to Taiwan.
Right,
as
I did
country,
see that.
Right, like
I did see that. Yeah, is that him speaking Chinese or just being a good actor? Because you can hit
I'm
that
willing
stuff
to bet it's him speaking Chinese because,
yeah,
for the WWE,
I wouldn't be against it because
they're huge in China.
It's not just that; it's those guys are giant. So, like guys like The Rock, and they're Dolph Lundgren, is a Rhodes Scholar in chemistry.
Yeah, amazing.
So guys like that have the discipline to like work out every day for 6 hours for 30 years, it's nothing to learn Mandarin or piano, right?
That's what I'm thinking.
You apply that discipline to something else.
Yeah, I've been working out myself a little, Larry. Let me see if I can get my swole on. I'm getting all swole. Hella swole.
Are you doing? So I brought up that cancer thing, and then my dad died of cancer like 15 years ago.
Oh.
So it's old news, and we didn't have any outstanding issues or anything, so I just miss him. But it makes me think all the time about cancer, and man, I don't know where I was going with that. I totally zoned on that one. I got feeling sad about my dad, but something about. Something about John Cena and applying themselves. I don't know.
Yeah,
it's weird.
Well, maybe I have that mono mind focus. It's hard to. I realized in the past couple of years, the thing that I started realizing is like you're never too old to do stuff that you thought you thought it was too late to do. Like when I wanted to learn to juggle better. And I wanted to juggle clubs.
Yeah.
It was just like all it is a muscle that you just have to do it every day. Everything is like that, It seems like.
I would not say this just because you're my good friend, but I love your little juggling things. I would watch your minute-long TikToks juggling before I would like the big boob girls doing their shorts challenge. Because I mean, that's great, big boob girls, you're pretty, that's cool. But like you're doing something physical that is a talent. Like you weren't born looking like a guy who can juggle. You know what I mean? Like, I think it's more impressive to watch you juggle than it is to
I'm gonna start doing something because I can talk while I juggle. So I'm gonna start doing something where I address the audience and talk about something like way out of left field.
You have to stand up though, right? Can you juggle in a chair?
I can juggle sitting down.
You're wow, you're like John Cena.
I taught myself to juggle laying on my back with oranges so that they would smack me in the face if I missed. And I learned really fast how to juggle that way.
Yeah, I would learn really fast to go do something else. That first orange hits me in the nose, and I'd be like, "Yeah, that's not a good idea."
Well, Larry, speaking of amazing things that you can learn and things that proof that people don't get pigeonholed into a career, I'm going to take us out on a video that shows you're never too old. There's always something new that you can try. I want to thank everybody out there for watching Serious Star Trek. We'll be back next week with John, I hope, right?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I kind of bummed we didn't do a Quatlu thing, but maybe we'll give some Quatlus away on our Facebook page for Serious Star Trek.
I think that's probably what we should do. But don't forget, you can super chat your way to a free Quatlu anytime you want, pal. You send me a super chat, I'm sending you wooden Quatlus. Believe it, I got a bag. So I want to take us out on this video. I want to thank everybody for watching. Tune in to Comic Book News next week with that dude Dan Shaheen. Maybe Larry even next week. Larry, I might need you in there because I don't have any plan for next week. I just want to talk about comics of some kind. I was thinking Switchblade Honey.
Yeah, if you want to do that, I'll get you a Planet of the Capes and a Switchblade Honey, and I'll get Brandon on the phone and see if he's willing to come in and talk about it.
Well, it is
not willing. I mean,
I have a Switchblade Honey. I got a copy.
Oh, do you? All right.
I picked one up.
Brandon
we could talk about it on this show even.
We could.
That's Star Trekky enough. Why not?
Yeah. All right. Sounds good.
Okay,
hey, there's Kieran. Great show, guys. Thanks, Kieran.
Thank you, guys. And we'll see you next time. I want to take you out on this again. It's never too late for an old dog to learn some new tricks. We'll see you next time on Serious Star Trek.
Hello out there. I'm Mr. Sulu of Star Trek. When I'm out in space, I use the Starship Enterprise to get around. When I'm here in Milwaukee, I ride the bus to save time and money. Your $5 weekly pass is a great buy. Your bus tickets, the greatest. Take it from a man who knows. Your Milwaukee County transit system is really out of this world.
Come ride with us on the bus.